Welcome to Hardcover Feedback. I'm Brandi Smits.
I'm Tracey Hill.
And today we are reading Every Day by David Levithan.
Every morning, A wakes in a different person's body, a different life. There's never any warning about where or who. A has made peace with that, even established guidelines by which to live. Never get too attached. Avoid being noticed. Do not interfere. It's all fine until the morning that A wakes up in the body of Justin and meets his girlfriend, Rhiannon. From that moment on, the rules no longer seem to apply as A wishes to stay with Rhiannon every day.
I am not the devil. The thought is what echoes through my mind the rest of the day. I am not the devil, but I could be. Looking at it from afar, looking at it from a perspective like Nathan's, I can see how scary it could be. Because what's to stop me from doing harm? What punishment would there be if I took the pencil in my hand and gouged out the eye of the girl sitting next to me in chem class? Or worse, I could easily get away with the perfect crime. The body that committed the murder would inevitably get caught, but the murderer would go free. Why haven't I thought of this before? I have the potential to be the devil. But then I think, stop. I think, no, because really, does that make me any different from anyone else? Yes, I could get away with it, but certainly we all have the potential to commit the crime. We choose not to. Every single day, we choose not to. And I am no different. I am not the devil.
Like, wow.
This,
What a premise.
I know.
I mean,
Well, first of all, we should probably state that our love of young adult literature has once again found its way into the television show here.
It did.
Yeah, Every Day, it's a teen novel by a very prolific teen author who has written book upon book of really thought-provoking storylines.
Yeah.
However, nothing has come close to touching this story.
No, I've never seen anything with quite this premise before, and what a difficult thing it is to navigate just because this person, and we really don't know anything about this person because this person doesn't know a whole lot about themselves, has always been like this. There wasn't, once upon a time I was human and then I became this free-floating spirit that can inhabit someone else, but only for a day. It's like, no, I've always been like this. This is all I know. And here's my moral code, and here's how I navigate that.
And that's, I mean, that's interesting in itself, is that he creates, or I shouldn't even say he, A creates its own guidelines. There's no real law or script to follow, or these are the rules that were given to me. They're the rules that A creates for A's self.
Yeah, and it's really incredible to see how A gets through A's own really highly unusual and seemingly unique sort of life. But then we come into the actual plot of the book, and it turns into it kind of turns into a more normalized sort of teen love story.
Right. And it's kind of like one of those things that specifically in teen literature you'll find the unreliable narrator, where, you know, you hear the story. You hear the story the entire time and you believe the story, and then it turns out that the entire world that that person created was just based on their perspective or their interpretation. And Every Day is just like that, and it has this unreliable narrator, but it's a known unreliable narrator where you know from the beginning this is completely biased. However, you can't help but just really understand everything that A does, and you trust A. You're not at all put off by it. And that I think is like the biggest compliment that you can give to the author.
Yeah, what you just described, excellent point. It was quite a feat to pull off. Like, okay, so unreliable narrator, but we have to trust this person because this narrator is being perfectly as honest as the narrator could possibly be given the situation. And then we see how everyone in the story goes through what becomes a very typical sort of teenage love story.
And I mean, it's also important to state then, in response to the typical teenage love story, A has completely just unfounded expectations about what is going to
Yeah.
happen, and it's sad, and you want to just, you connect so highly with A throughout the book, and then you're just like, no, just stop
Yeah.
what you're doing and
Yeah.
just take a step back.
Yeah.
So I mean, honestly, this is probably the most confusing book review we've ever given, because we
It's-
can't really
it's-
reveal a lot.
No, but suffice to say, I was left conflicted about it because it's beautifully written, it's beautifully told. A is as trustworthy as A could possibly be, and yet I was dreading what I thought might happen, and it's like,
yeah.
well, how can this possibly go? And then I was really let down by it. Ultimately, I was let down by it.
I think I gave it a lot more credit for what was accomplished in it. And I don't think I expected perfection from it. I
Yeah.
expected errors and plot slips, I guess, because
Yeah.
it is a really huge thing to take on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, degree of difficulty
right.
was like,
so it's kind of
whoa,
like,
way
I
up
guess
here,
I'm
you know,
grading this
but-
on a curve is kind of how I'm going
Okay.
with this one.
Yeah,
so
I can, and I understand. It's just that it seemed like author had so much ability to pull it off. I was really pulling for him because I knew he was well established, done a lot of great other works before, and the way it's all set up and how beautifully it flows together at first. I'm like, yes, he's going to do something amazing with this, and that just did not materialize for me.
I
was sad.
disagree with you, and I think that it absolutely was well done. With the bumps in the road, I think it was necessary. They're like battle scars. They needed to be there. And so that in addition to my love of bizarre book premises, I give Every Day 3 stars.
Okay, well, just because my heart got a little bit broken by the whole thing, I'm not, while the quality of the whole work was very high, I still feel like I can only give it 2.5 stars.
So for Every Day, I gave it 3 stars, and Tracy gave it 2.5 stars, and we will see you next time.